Ladies and gentlemen, God doesn't always remove people from your life right away. Sometimes He lets them stay just long enough to expose themselves. You see, fake people are like a mask. They can only pretend for so long before the cracks start to show. At first, they seem supportive. They clap for you. They act like they care. But watch what happens when you start succeeding. Watch what happens when you no longer need them. That's when their real nature comes out. People can hide their true intentions for a while, but eventually life exposes them for who they really are. You don't always see it immediately. Sometimes you believe the words they say, the smiles they give, the way they stand beside you in good times. You trust them. You invest in them. You let them into your life, your thoughts, your dreams. And for a while, everything seems real. But time has a way of revealing what's hidden. You don't need to go looking for the truth. It will show itself when the moment is right. The thing about people is that they can only pretend for so long. A person's character isn't measured in the moments when everything is easy. It's tested in the moments when life demands something from them. Watch how they respond when you're struggling. Watch how they act when you succeed. Do they celebrate you, or do they shrink away, suddenly distant and cold? Do they support you, or do they compete with you, always making sure they're one step ahead? People will tell you they love you, but love isn't in words, it's in actions. And when someone's words and actions don't align, pay attention. God doesn't let deception last forever. When someone in your life isn't real, He will give you signs. Sometimes it's a quiet feeling inside, a small nudge in your spirit telling you something isn't right. Other times, it's more obvious, a betrayal, a lie uncovered, a situation that forces you to see what you once ignored. When that happens, don't dismiss it. Don't make excuses for them. Don't repaint the red flags. The truth may be uncomfortable, but it is always a gift. You have to understand that the people who leave, the ones who turn out to be fake, were never meant to go where God is taking you. Their role in your life was temporary. And their exit is not a punishment, it's a revelation. It's easy to feel hurt, to wonder why you didn't see it sooner, to question your own judgment. But don't waste time regretting. The lesson was necessary. The experience was part of your growth. Every person has a season in your life. Some will stay for the journey, but many are only there for a chapter. When their season ends, let them go. When God shows you the truth, don't fight it. Because the people who are meant to stay, the real ones, will never need to pretend. They will stand beside you through the highs and the lows, not because of what they can gain, but because they genuinely care. The truth always comes out. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually people reveal who they truly are. And when they do, believe them. Because when someone is real, they don't have to prove it, it shows. But when someone is fake, time will expose them. And that exposure isn't your loss. When people walk away from your life, it's easy to feel abandoned, hurt, or even betrayed. You start questioning everything. Was it something you did? Could you have fixed it? Was losing them a mistake? But what if I told you that their departure was never a loss, but a divine intervention? What if I told you that God removed them, not to punish you, but to protect you? God sees what you don't. He hears conversations you were never part of. He knows what is spoken behind closed doors, what is done in secret, what is planned in the shadows. You might think you lost something valuable, but God knows that if you had held on, it would have only brought you pain. He saw the heartbreak before it happened. He saw the betrayal before you could sense it. And so in His mercy, He removed them before they could do more damage. At first, it might not make sense. You might fight against it. You might even try to bring them back into your life, thinking it's a mistake. But the truth is, if God allowed someone to leave, there is a reason. You may not understand it today, but one day you'll look back and realize that losing them was one of the best things that ever happened to you. You see, not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people are lessons, not lifelong companions. Some people are placed in your path to show you something about yourself, to teach you resilience, to help you grow. But when their role in your journey is over, holding on to them will only hold you back. God never removes without replacing. When someone exits your life, it's because God is making room for something better. But here's where many people struggle. They focus so much on what was lost that they fail to see what's coming. They cry over closed doors instead of looking for the new ones opening. They mourn the past while missing the future God is preparing for them. If you could see what God sees, you would never question why certain people left. You would never beg for them to return. You would trust that what's ahead is far greater than what's behind. So the next time someone walks away, don't chase. The next time a relationship ends unexpectedly, don't force it back. Instead, trust. Trust that God knows what He's doing. Trust that His plan is greater than your understanding. Trust that what He is removing is nothing compared to what He is bringing. Rejection is never about rejection. It's about redirection. God is shifting you, positioning you, aligning you with something greater. And when you finally see what He had in store, you'll realize that what you thought was a loss was actually the greatest blessing of all. When someone is removed from your life, it may feel sudden, painful, and confusing. But the truth is, it was never sudden to God. He saw what you didn't. He knew their heart long before you did. He knew their intentions, their thoughts, their motives, the things they hid behind a smile, a kind word, or a false promise. And so when the time came, He stepped in and allowed them to be exposed. God doesn't just remove people to hurt you. He removes them to heal you. He takes away what is not meant for you so you can receive what truly is. Many times we get so attached to the wrong people that we can't even see the damage they're doing. We hold on because we think they bring us value, but in reality, they are distractions, roadblocks, and even dangers. Sometimes we are too close to see the truth, so God has to show us in ways we cannot ignore. It may come in the form of a betrayal, a lie uncovered, a sudden change in behavior. Maybe they start acting distant. Maybe they say something that makes you question everything. Maybe circumstances push them out of your life in a way you never expected. And in those moments, it's tempting to fight it, to hold on, to make excuses for them. But what if the very thing you're trying to hold on to is what's holding you back? God never exposes someone to destroy you. He does it to free you. Imagine being trapped in a cycle of manipulation, false loyalty, or empty promises. Imagine pouring into a relationship that was never meant to last. If God didn't intervene, you might have spent years, maybe even decades, tied to something that was never meant to be permanent. When God exposes someone, He's not asking you to fix them. He's asking you to see the truth and walk away. The exposure isn't an accident. It's a revelation. It's a chance for you to break free from something that was never good for you. It's a moment where God is saying, you deserve better. I have better for you. Let them go. One of the hardest things to accept is that some people were never real in the first place. They were playing a role, serving a purpose for a season, but they were never meant to be part of your destiny. And when that season ends, their true nature is revealed. The mask falls, the illusion fades, and you see them for who they really are. It may hurt, but in that moment you have a choice. Will you cling to what's false, or will you trust that God has something greater? What you lose in people, God replaces with peace. What He removes, He restores in ways you never expected. So when someone is exposed, don't be bitter, be grateful. Because what you thought was a loss was actually a rescue. When someone is removed from your life, it can feel like rejection, but it is often divine protection. God knows the hearts of people long before you do. He sees what they say when you're not around, the thoughts they hide behind their words, the actions they take when no one is watching. While you might see only their good moments, God sees the full picture. And when He allows someone to leave, it's not to punish you, it's to prevent harm that you cannot yet see. You may have thought they were real, you may have believed their words, trusted their promises, and built dreams with them in mind. But over time, the truth always finds a way to the surface. People can only pretend for so long. When their season in your life is over, their real character will begin to show. Maybe they start treating you differently, or maybe circumstances reveal what they've been hiding. When this happens, don't ignore the signs. God allows exposure so that you can move forward without carrying dead weight. Not everyone is meant to go where God is taking you. Some people are distractions, some are tests, and some are temporary lessons. Holding on to the wrong people can delay your purpose, cloud your vision, and keep you in cycles of confusion. If God is removing someone, it means He is making space for something better. The hardest part is trusting that the loss is not really a loss at all. It's an upgrade in disguise. Think about the times you begged for someone to stay only to later realize they were never good for you. Think about the times you questioned why a relationship ended only to look back and see how much peace and clarity you gained after they were gone. Hindsight always reveals what emotion tries to hide. God isn't trying to hurt you, He's trying to heal you. He's making sure that you are surrounded by the right people, the ones who will push you forward, not hold you back. Letting go is never easy, especially when you have invested time, love, and energy. But what you must remember is this: anything that is truly meant for you will never require you to beg, chase, or force it to stay. The people who are meant to be in your life will remain, not because of what they can gain, but because they genuinely belong there. The ones who leave were never meant to go further with you. Trust the process. Trust the removal. Trust that God knows what He's doing. Because when the wrong people leave, the right ones can enter. And when you finally step into the next season of your life, you'll look back and realize that what you thought was a loss was actually one of the greatest blessings you could have received. One of the most powerful lessons you will ever learn is that people reveal their true nature when they believe they no longer need you. As long as they have something to gain, they may pretend to be loyal, supportive, or even loving, but the moment they think they can move on without you, their mask falls. Suddenly, the warmth fades, the kindness disappears, and the respect they once showed is nowhere to be found. This is when you see them for who they truly are, not who they pretended to be. God allows this exposure not to break you, but to free you. He knows the weight of carrying fake relationships, the energy wasted on people who are only around for convenience. He knows that if they stayed, they would continue to drain you, manipulate you, or take advantage of your kindness. So when their true self is revealed, don't see it as a loss, see it as clarity. It's God's way of saying, now you know. Now you can move forward without them. This is where many people struggle. They hold on to memories instead of reality. They remember the good times, the shared moments, the laughter, and they ignore the signs that were there all along. But here's the truth. The version of them you once knew was never real. It was an illusion, built on what they needed from you at the time. The moment their needs changed, so did their behavior. That's not loyalty. That's not friendship. That's not love. That's convenience disguised as connection. When God lets you see how fake they were, it's not to make you bitter. It's to make you wiser. It's to remind you that not everyone deserves access to your life, your energy, and your heart. Some people are meant to teach you a lesson and then exit. If you keep chasing after them, trying to hold on to what's already been revealed as false, you're only delaying your own growth. The best response to their exposure is not revenge, not anger, not even sadness. It's gratitude. Thank God that you saw the truth before investing any more time. Thank Him for revealing their character before you trusted them with more of your heart. Thank Him for closing doors that would have only led to more pain down the road. Because now you are free. Free to align with the right people. Free to walk in relationships built on honesty, not deception. Free to build a life surrounded by those who are truly meant for you. So don't mourn the loss of fake people. Celebrate the clarity. Because what you lost in illusion, you gained in wisdom. And that is a trade you will never regret. When God removes someone from your life, it's never without purpose. You may not see it at first, but in time you'll realize that what you thought was rejection was actually redirection. Sometimes we cling to people out of familiarity, comfort, or even fear of being alone. We make excuses for their behavior, overlook their inconsistencies, and convince ourselves that they belong in our lives. But God sees what we do not. He sees the conversations we aren't a part of, the intentions behind their actions, and the condition of their hearts. And when the time is right, He steps in, not to hurt you, but to protect you. At first, it may not make sense. You may feel betrayed, confused, or even angry. You may question why someone you cared about suddenly changed, why they walked away, or why they turned against you. But understand this: God doesn't just remove people for no reason. He does it because He knows they can no longer go where you're going. Their presence is no longer beneficial to your purpose. What once may have seemed like a blessing has now become a burden, and holding on would only slow you down. Many times we pray for growth, for wisdom, for new opportunities, but we don't always realize that part of that answer means letting go of certain people. Some relationships are only meant to last for a season. They were there to teach you something, to prepare you, to challenge you in ways that helped you become stronger. But once their purpose in your journey has been fulfilled, they must leave so that you can step into the next chapter of your life. God knows that if certain people stayed, they would hinder your progress. They would distract you, discourage you, or even lead you away from your calling. So He intervenes. Sometimes He removes them gently, allowing distance to grow naturally. Other times He exposes their true character in a way that forces you to walk away. However it happens, trust that it is for your good. The removal is not a punishment, it is preparation. One day you will look back and realize that what you thought was a painful loss was actually a divine rescue. You will see how much peace you gained, how much stronger you became, and how much clearer your vision is without their influence. You will understand that their departure wasn't an accident. It was an answered prayer. So instead of fighting to keep what God is trying to take away, surrender to His plan. Trust that He knows what He's doing. Trust that He is making space for something better. Because when God removes someone, it's always a sign that something greater is coming. Let go, move forward, and watch how He replaces what you lost with something far more valuable than you ever imagined.